mean,
That's what it is.
it's I think the issue with the company right now is that it has become like you said, George, it has become very political, where it's actually doing kind of internal damage. And I mean, we've seen petitions inside the halls of the studio from actually both sides, arguing for their points. And it's like maybe the best route is to go in a politically neutral direction. And I think that was Bob Chapek's initial idea,
Right.
and he really got caught up in it. And his advisors, I'm telling you, I mean that. The way they bungled that situation, this is why I say sabotage, because it's he couldn't have done a worse job at it, and it's there you go.
We've made mistakes. I have made mistakes.
There you go.
It was a good idea in that moment, but it was bad execution.
Yeah. No, well, and I mean.
He was in a tough spot. He was in a real tough spot because he like, it wasn't even just about like placating the masses necessarily. He was having people within the company expressing discontent, like they were mad. So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna lose Kevin Feige, Pete Docter, all his talent over this? Like Chapek, I do not envy that man at all. He was thrown into the shitter like from minute one.
He was thrown into an unwinnable situation right from jump. So, I mean...
And I think Iger knew that. Iger knew the route that it was going. I'm sorry. I do like Bob Iger. I really do. He did the company wonders. But there was some contingencies at the end where he knew what was going to happen. He's like, okay, I'm just going to throw in the most dry, naive person that would literally just kind of play ball to wherever he's supposed to play ball. And I'll come unscathed. I'll be known as the golden man.
Look at the beginning of this recent controversy. He was the one that sent out the tweet. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. Go ahead, OG. Sorry about that.
Right. No, 100%, Dre. 100%. And here's the thing too is, and maybe I was naive because I actually believed for many years. I'm like, you know what, Bob Iger, you don't have to love every decision, but I always believed in my heart of hearts that this man truly cared about the Walt Disney Company. If this is true,
I sound like a Bob Iger dick rider.
I gotta play that drop. I have it. I gotta play it.
Play it again. Play it again. Play it again.
Oh, give me a second here.
God, I sound like a Bob Iger dick rider.
Yes, John Campia. No, but you're absolutely like. Look, this is the thing. I was naive too. I really believed like it. Hey, this guy really does care about the Walt Disney Company. If this is true that he threw Chapek under the bus. Right? Like, oh, you know what? Throw him out to the wolves right before the pandy. That completely changes my viewpoint of this man because you're fucking over Bob Chapek. Fine, whatever. But you're also fucking over Disney, though. The company you say that you love so much. This is a man, Bob Iger. He spent years saying how important it was to get the transition right. To get it right. And then he just willy-nilly out of nowhere throws Chapek right before the pandemic and say, hey, go ahead, do your thing. I don't understand that. Like, don't you think that's going to hurt the company you say you love so much? Like, that's not just, you're not just screwing over Chapek. You're screwing over the company. Do you understand? Like, that's the thing that makes me mad. I don't have a personal investment in Bob Chapek, the man, but I do have a personal investment in the company. And when you're doing that, and you know that could potentially hurt this company that you say you love so much. I don't know. And that really does. It changes my mindset about Bob Iger because I think that if you really did care about Disney, he wouldn't have done that. Assuming that's true. Assuming
right. And if that's,
I don't know for sure. Yeah. None of us do. But if that is true, well, he doesn't really care that much about the company. Then you can't have a. If he's going to throw Chapek under the bus, he doesn't give a shit about the Disney company. The two cannot be true at the same time. They're contradictory.
There's an image that I just shared with you just now. If you can share it for a moment. I really like seeing it because it's Bob Iger with the money bags leaving while the stock price of Disney's, coming down on Chapek right here. I believe this is part of I think it was like a Hollywood Reporter, I think, had this piece of art, and it's so emblematic. It's so like it's so symbolic of what actually happened, because I think you're right, OG. I think he put him in an unwinnable situation, and to Chapek's credit, he actually came out pretty well, all things considering. He had the whole world in front of him with a century pandemic of that magnitude, and he got out, with the company, relatively unscathed. I think Bob Iger, he used the company for his own devices. Honestly, that's just my opinion on it. Looking back at the history of the company, I think he used it to boost his own image, his own ego. I mean, he got into the political realm with the company just because he wanted to be in that kind of that side of the political spectrum for a presidential run. What does that say about Iger? And it's a lot of what we're dealing with when it comes to the company and that direction we're dealing with now, and it's coming out and manifesting itself in all these different avenues, and it's making Chapek's reign, or anybody's reign really, that takes that seat, much harder than it would have otherwise would have been.
No, 100%, 100%, Ray. You hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head with that. And Iger, look, and this is the thing that's interesting. Okay, Bob Iger said that the reason why he's retiring, or a big reason why he is retiring, is because he sort of lost the ability to sort of see other points of view. Remember that? And I don't remember what article it was, but he's mentioned that, he sort of had the inability to sort of take outside viewpoints, right? It was like his way or the highway. And he wanted to kind of nip that in the bud and sort of, leave before it got worse. Well, he had that mentality as Disney CEO and chairman of the board. You don't think he still has that mentality? Of course he does. So now Chapek is running the show, and it bugs him because Chapek isn't doing every single thing the way Bob Iger would have done it. And maybe he's sort of throwing wrenches in the gears and sort of sabotaging. Again, not saying for sure, but it's a possibility, because it's not the way Iger wanted it. And Iger said, and he admitted it, that he had a problem with people's outside opinions that didn't jive with his own. So it's a very big possibility that this is all
Iger has he said, during this whole thing, you know what? It's not great to be data driven completely. That's a shot at Chapek. That's a shot across the bow at the captain there. And then right before this incident happens, a tweet goes off and kind of launches this whole thing into motion. Right. So as far as I'm concerned, Iger's already on record undermining Chapek. And I think Chapek has a right to be miffed about that, quite frankly. I think that's an accurate interpretation. It's making Chapek, or anybody's life who's ever to be the CEO, or whoever's in the CEO position, much harder than otherwise would have been.
And Michael Eisner, to his credit, did not do that to Bob Iger.
Right.
Because, look, Michael Eisner, he disagreed with a lot of what Bob Iger did, because they're two different men. Of course they disagreed. But he didn't go out there publicly saying, oh, I don't agree with Bob Iger. He wasn't public about it. He was in the shadows. He kept quiet. He let Bob Iger run the company because Bob Iger is now the CEO. I just wish Bob Iger would let Chapek do his thing. Bob Iger promoted this guy like 3 times. He was the distribution chief or whatever it was for home video. Under Bob Iger, he got promoted to the what was it? The consumer products. Mm-hmm. Then again promoted a few years later to parks and resorts, and then again hand selected by Bob Iger to be the CEO. If you had this much confidence in Mr. Chapek, let the guy do his job and back off. If you didn't think he was good for the job, then you shouldn't have picked him.
He handpicked him. It's like, then you're going to go and criticize the fact of what he's doing is completely wrong. Then if you really had that much of an issue, then you shouldn't have picked him from the get-go. But I will say this, though, that Disney has been in many rocky situations up and down throughout the company. And you could actually see that on the Imagineering story on Disney Plus. You could see all the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the lows and the highs, and Disney always seems to find its way to come out on top. And I feel that this is just another piece of that puzzle that just needs to be kind of put into perspective and fit into the right segment for the whole scope of the Walt Disney Company. Have they ever been at something at this caliber before? probably not due to the situation that's what's going on all at once.
Right.
But I do feel that Disney will come out on top once they kind of work out all these kinks, whatever they may be. And I will continue to keep on saying it, that we want to see Disney succeed. We want the company to strive and move forward to what the founder always wanted it to be.